What's going on, man? This is Will Z Tillwell with Skybox Conversations, man. The Hoop Pod, where we talk about all things hoops, about everything about those Los Angeles Lakers, man. Because hey, I ain't gonna lie, it's my favorite team in the league, and this is what we do here, man. And they dropped a very weird game tonight to the Charlotte Hornets, who absolutely stink on the road, stink overall. All right, have a few bright spots. And those few bright spots did shine tonight. You got to get that to him. Miles Bridges was hitting big shot after big shot. Mainly just because of just weird rotations and blown assignments and lack of communication on Lakers' part, which is kind of to be expected. Which is kind of the stuff we're gonna talk about. Some of the things I feel like we shouldn't overreact to, such as Luka struggling and things like that, and the offense looking kind of stagnant at times, and just being overall sloppy. I think JJ said it best in this post gamer where he basically said that he said it was 39 to 44 minutes of offense that was just really sloppy. Whether it was our spacing or execution, it just didn't look good 90% of the game. And I can't think of a better way to sum it up than that. But again, I think it also is a key thing to understand that this is a new team. All right, we got to it's kind of like on 2K when you got to rebuild that chemistry back up. When you start fresh, and it's the same thing here. It's no different. We gotta build that chemistry up. We gotta get comfortable, taking the obvious open shots and being able to know when to swing and when person wants to cut off the like what do they do well in playing to those strengths. That's what we got to get better at. And you could tell it was a team that was kind of overthinking a little bit. Like you said, spacing was a little bit off, execution was a little bit off, communication wasn't all the way there on both ends of the floor. Because what I noticed is that throughout the game, especially at the end, one of the big reasons LaMelo was able to, really hit Luka with that bink bink with the dime, and then he made the beautiful pass to Nick Smith Jr. is because they were hunting Luka, and then you could tell JJ start doubling out of it or kind of sending help for Luka because they was hunting him on the defensive end. And then Melo Ball is pretty elite, bro. Should have been an all-star. So he's able to survey and see, and he's 6'7", 6'6", so he can see over that. So he's trying to see, all right, what's open. So that's when he makes the beautiful pass to Nick Smith Jr., knock down the three. Right. This one, then the next time he breaks Luka down, get to the rack, drop it off for the easy dime. So there were some things that got to be adjusted and they got to be fixed, right? Like you said, defensive shifts, communication, how to end the game, and I'll say this too: things were already weird, but they fell apart even more once Austin Reeves got ejected from the game. When Austin Reeves got ejected from the game, it was like I don't know. It just went all downhill from there. Because it kind of felt like that game that was teetering already. Where we couldn't hit shots for a long time, and then it felt like at one point Charlotte was hitting everything, and then neither team could hit anything. It was just a sloppy game, and you could tell people had been on break for a week and a half. You could just it just felt like that, right? Um, just working out the kinks, I think. But I'll tell you what else hurt us though when they went on that 17-1 run. That 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 hurt us, man. That hurt us because we couldn't buy a bucket. We couldn't buy a bucket, and then we get back into the game. But then we couldn't get a stop, and I think those things go hand in hand because we couldn't hit a bucket and they were scoring. Then when we finally got back in the game and couldn't get a stop, I feel like Coach Lee over there for the Hornets, Charles Lee, was like, "We hunt Luka until they do something about it." And then Luka wasn't so great on the offensive side of the ball tonight, where he was kind of able to neutralize them coming for him, right? If you look at some of his numbers from the night, what Luka have? He was 5 for 18. He was 5 for 18. Let me put it up here so y'all can see it too. He was 5 for 18, 1 for 9 from the three, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. He did have 11 rebounds. He had 14 points. He was a plus 13, surprisingly, actually. Um, but he had how many turnovers? 6 turnovers. I think 5 of those like in the first quarter or something like that. Um, look at Austin Reeves, 8 points, 3 for 9, right? So you could tell some of his frustration was not only from that missed call when he got ejected, but just from overall having a tough night, right? Not being able to really let it go down. And I'll be honest, I'm not too worried about Luka. I'm not in a place where it's like, oh my God, he's coming to the Lakers and he's struggling. I don't think it's one of those things at all. I think it's that we got to give him time. I think Big Perk said it best tonight. He said it best tonight, and I want to read that real quick. What he said, he was like, because it kind of sums up how we kind of have to look at things and remember this when it comes to this game. That man, Luka haven't played since Christmas. And people are like, well, he had 9 days off. That should be enough time. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Right. And so Big Perk said this right here. He said it's going to be another 2 to 3 weeks before we see the real Luca. He has to get into basketball shape and get his legs under him. And I just think that's facts. I think that's facts. And this is something that a casual fan may not understand. But if you really know basketball, you know it's still going to take a little time for him to get used to this system, to get used to playing with LeBron, used to like understanding, not necessarily his role because we know what he's there to do, but like for them to understand, when to do what with him, like when he should be super ultra aggressive and we should get his team involved. Like it's a lot of variables that he got to figure out first, include getting himself together 100%, so he feels even better on the court. So if you finna be one of them people that's finna be worrying and trying to draw the conclusions just because he having a tough time as of right now, then you don't know ball. And if you think this man gonna keep struggling like that, you crazy. You crazy. You crazy. It's not gonna happen, man. You gotta be patient with him. You gotta be patient with him. But we can't admit two things can be true. You gotta be patient with Luca, but he did struggle tonight. He did struggle the other night. Um, but that's what something comes with something new and uncomfortable, man, and different. You gotta adjust. You gotta figure it out. And I think wholeheartedly that Luca will, man. I think he's gonna be just fine. Um, yeah, man. That's just me when it comes to that. And this is something also that I really peep that the Lakers just really have no identity right now, right? It's not very obvious who they are and how they want to play. And again, that comes with time, figuring out how you want to play with each other, how you want to play with each other and off of each other. Getting your rotations down, like you said. And then they just couldn't hit shots tonight too. And I just think that comes from a rhythm thing. Um, so don't read too much into it, man. They got to figure out who they are. They gotta find a identity, right? I think they're gonna really have to hang their hat on the defensive end for sure. Um, but on the offensive flow, what sets they like, what those sets look like, when to do what, right? Who closes, who's had the hot hand. Like tonight, that's a decision that JJ had to make for LeBron to take those last couple of shots. Because why? Because JJ said LeBron had it going into the fourth, so it just made sense to put the ball in his hands. Right? Luka struggled a little bit. Luka's still trying to get his feet under him. Now, can he make those shots? Of course. At any given moment. At any given moment, he hit a big dagger three that really cut the game close, in the fourth quarter tonight, with like 7 minutes left. So you're like, you can hit these big shots. Come on. But tonight, it was LeBron, and he just couldn't quite get it done. So it's like those type of things you got to figure out. And you asking JJ to do this on the fly in 30 something games left. Um, I think he can do it, but it ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be easy at all. Like I said before, I think when Austin left, that's when the game really changed, and I really appreciate him taking accountability for what he said, where he talked about, I just got to be better, understanding the refs better, and he said I've seen so many people, say crazier things to the refs in a more aggressive way than I did, and they get away with it. He said, but hey, I got to be better. And so it's cool that he took that accountability and just say, hey, man, that's on me. I was frustrated. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even, I felt like he missed a call. I got to go back and check and see if he did. And straight like that. Straight like that. And you got to respect him for that. Um, we didn't get a chance to kind of look at Charlotte's side of things, but just from our eye test, you could tell that Miles Bridges and Melo was serving motherfuckers. And sure enough, Melo gave you 27 on 5 for 13 from the three and 9 for 19 from the field, about 48%. Hit 5 threes, and then Miles Bridges gave you 29. So they damn near combined for 60 points on your ass. And he hit another 5 threes. Miles Bridges did 9 for 22, which is like roughly 40%, roughly, if I'm not mistaken. Then he had 5 steals. Like come on now, like they was serving. Serving, like just and hunting Luka every chance they got on offense. And And by them hunting Luka, it was getting dudes like Miles Bridges free threes. So if you ever watched like the last three threes he hit, he was like damn near wide open, uncontested. Like he was because they was doubling the ball handler was more than likely Melo. Swing, and whoever that second swing was, whether it was Nick Smith Jr., whether it was Miles Bridges, or whatever the ball was moving, and they was getting wide open shots out of it. Rotations was terrible. And again, I know they come with time, so I'm not gonna overreact, but that's just what it was. That's just what it was. Miles Bridges was busting your ass. Melo was busting your ass. But I will say this: I'm not too tripping now about that Mark Williams trade. I'm really not. Now, again, we know we didn't bring him in to be no superstar, and I think he still would have fit well. I'm not trying to clown him or anything, but he didn't do too much where you missed on. And Brun bodied his ass too. Brun bodied Mark Williams' ass. Like that shit was tough. I'm like, this nigga is 40 years old still dunking on people. That's crazy. Hooped on his ass. And Nick Smith Jr., man, Arkansas Razorback, man. Shout out to that boy, Woo Pig Sui, man. He was hooping too tonight. He was hooping too. He stepped into that starting role and been hooping. He had some big shots. Um, but yeah, man, Mark Williams, he had 10 points. He 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 3 for 7 from the floor, played 30 minutes, had 9 rebounds, so damn near a double-double. Had a couple offensive rebounds, no blocks, a couple of assists, -5 for the overall game. He wasn't terrible. You don't expect him to come in and be a superstar, but at times he did look a little fragile, and he was missing some easy bunnies and some easy layups. So it was like, I get it. I'll say that I get why Palinka may have, kind of regretted it. Like, damn, maybe I did give up too much to get him. And if that's the reason why, and it had really nothing to do with the physical, I can't even be mad at Palinka for that, because it's like I get that. I get, kind of being hesitant about that for a number of reasons, whatever that may be. You can't be mad at him for that, because I think he can wait this summer, see what this looks like for the rest of this season, and then go get somebody like a Miles Turner or Nick Claxton, who has a little bit more upside. Maybe not as young as Mark Williams, but at least you know what you're getting. Mark Williams is still figuring it out, I think. And I don't know. I get it. I'll say that. I'll keep it like that. I feel like we didn't really, miss anything um, from that happening. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the worst things why this was such a weird loss is because it was such a low scoring game. 100-97. It was like 86-87 with like 5 minutes left. It was a very low scoring game. A lot of missed shots. Charlotte shot 38% from the field and still won the game. Think about that for a minute. 38% from the field and still won the game. That's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough, 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 tough. You know what I'm saying? And it And yeah, I know we got to do a quick honest review also about Alex Lynn. He didn't play a whole lot tonight, but he did play. And this gave us another chance to look at him as well. Let's see what he did. He played 10 minutes. Played 10 minutes, 0 shots, 0 free throws, 0 rebounds, 1 rebound, just a bunch of zeros, 1 foul. He had a +8. Damn. So I mean, he was just getting cardio in that motherfucker. And then you could tell too, like he was in some very weird spaces with his screening. He was clouding up a lot of space. He was kind of trying to do this whole court tight screen type of thing, kind of clearing space for dudes. He was just kind of ended up in the way. Doing more harm than good a lot of times, in my opinion. It was weird, man. It was weird. Even Dalton, he couldn't really get it going much. 1 for 5, only 3 points. You know what I'm saying? Had a couple rebounds. Gabe, you need more from Gabe. 2 for 7 on 20 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith had a pretty good, solid game. Can't be really too mad at him. Jared was kind of just there, just kind of out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was just an ugly game. It was an ugly game. It was an ugly game. It's kind of like what I compare it to is like I love spades, right? And when you playing spades, there are these hands you get sometimes where it's just like a weird hand. Whereas like it's 13 spades and everybody got 2 or 3. 4 people Everybody got two or three, so it's hard to really say what you got. It feel like you and your teammate got bored because you don't know how spread out everything is. And it's the same thing in this game. It was just weird. It was just spread out. It was all over the place. It was it was bad. It was just bad shots, bad offenses, bad flows, bad execution, bad spacing, ugly to watch, slow game. It was just ugly. It was just a mucked up game, and it worked in Charlotte's favor tonight. If I'm being honest, and yeah, they found a way to win, which is a tough win for them, especially when you know how much they stink on the road. Um, but you could tell this game meant something to Charlotte. You could tell in a way they this meant something to them, and they wanted to get this win. And I'll say this about Charlotte: I wholeheartedly believe that when they get healthy, they're gonna be pretty damn good. I think when you get Brandon Miller back and you get you bring back Mark Williams, you bring Melo back, you got Miles Bridges, especially depending on where they end up in the draft and who they draft, I think they could be really pretty good in the next couple of years. That's just me, like doing some Detroit type things real soon. But that obviously will take time. But yeah, man, it was so many different things that you could speak on to this game. Um, but I think these are the biggest things. Charlotte just seemed to want it more at times, just more, out hustling us. I think Luka did struggle, but you got to be patient with that. I think he'll figure it out as time goes on. We don't have much of an identity right now. The Lakers don't know who they are and what they want to do. And that's gonna come with time. And even JJ said that's a good problem. It's a problem I have to solve, and I look forward to that. So he's great at solving problems, as we have seen as the season is going on. So I don't have much fear there, right? When Austin left, the game changed. When he left, things just kind of went left for us, man. And it's cool they took accountability for that, and he knows he has to be better because we need him. That 17-1 run, it really hurt us. We couldn't buy a shot. They seemed to be hitting everything, and then down the stretch when we got back in the game, we couldn't get key stops. Miles and Melo really hurt us. Really hurt us. Damn near combining for 60 points and 10 threes between the two. They had a hell of a game plan closing down the game, really going after Luka. And that hurt us as well, either on the rotations or Melo being able to break them down and get down here and make a play. I do feel like we did not lose out on the Mark Williams trade, and we're going to be able to get something even better in the near future. I do believe that. They shot 38% from the field and still beat us, which lets you know they beat us around the margins and the other areas that mattered. We were just sloppy, and like I said, JJ said that execution was terrible, and we'll get better there. And once again, Alex Lynn stinks, and we're going to keep giving him a chance, but I wish we would have signed somebody else. But we're going to leave it there. There were so many other things that we could have pulled from this game, especially when you start talking about like the box score, and the team stats and like that. Like real quick, let me look at that before I let y'all go. We actually shot better from the field goal percentage than them. They shot better from the three. They were excellent from the free throw line, which is actually a big key of ours. We only shot 12 free throws. They shot 17 and only missed one. We actually out rebound them. We had more assists. They had more steals though. We had one less turnover. We had 14 more fast break points. We had more paints in the paint. Like that's tough. We won in a lot of areas, but it seems to be the big difference was the 3-point line, free throws, and the amount of steals that they had. And how many points they scored off their turnovers. They had 20 points off of our 18 turnovers, and we only had 10 out there 19. So I would say probably those three areas, just from a quick eye test, just from looking at the box score, and also from kind of thinking about the game as you watched it. Yeah, that's where they beat us, and then just having that long stretch where we just couldn't hit shit. That really put us in a hard spot, and having to claw back in the game, which we did, but just couldn't close it, man. I'm not worried yet. We got plenty of time to still figure this out. I think Luka and LeBron are gonna make some great memories, and win a lot of games. Just gotta be patient with these dudes, man. But I think I'm gonna end it right there. I know how much I love y'all. And until next time, man, that concludes another episode of Skybox Conversations, man. Peace.